Okay. So, good evening, and everyone, and welcome to My Mind on Film 2021 Filmmaking Masterclass titled Your Mind into Filmmaking Tips, Hacks, and How To's. My name is Daniel, and I'm the events coordinator for My Mind on Film, and I'll be your MC for today. And I would like to also inform everyone that this session will be recorded, right? Before we get the ball rolling, in case anybody here isn't too familiar with My Mind on Film and what we do, My Mind on Film is a Malaysian mental health short film festival for young adults. This project is central to the Center for Mental Health and Wellbeing's commitment to engaging with young people, hearing their voices, and working together for progress. This year, My Mind on Film is welcoming short film submissions on the theme Heart and Mind. And if you're in one of these three categories, which are Malaysian high schoolers, Malaysian young adults, and international young adults, we gladly open the film submission for you from now until 31st December 2021. For more information, you can find our website and social media links in the chat box. Okay, in today's session, we've invited three of our filmmaker guest judges and one film producer from our recent festival workshop to share and discuss some tips and tricks on filmmaking. So do grab yourself a pen and a piece of paper, or maybe an iPad and an Apple Pen, because you'll definitely want to take notes of their insight. Before we begin, let's run through this session, how it will work, and some housekeeping items, all right? So firstly, we aim to end the session within an hour and a half. Today's session is broken down in three 20-minute sections. Each section is dedicated to one part of the filmmaking process, starting from the pre-production stage, the production, and finally the post-production stage. There will be a Q&A section in the end. So if you got any questions or thoughts to share, you can throw them out in the last 20 minutes. However, if you have any questions during the session, you are always welcome to just put it on the chat box, all right? Lastly, please feel free to turn on your videos, turn on your cameras throughout the session, but do keep your mics muted so that it won't bother the session, okay? With all that said, let's get into today's session with first introducing our esteemed speakers for today. So first of all, today we have Mr. Edward Lim, a Vancouver Film School graduate and has been active in Malaysia independent film scene and commercial. He's actually in Korea right now shooting a film. Annyeonghaseyo, Edward. All right, next we have Farihin Ufiya. She's an actress, writer, director, and also a producer. And not only that, she's also the founding director of NYAWA, which is a mental health aid association. Next, we have the lovely Tunku Riza. She is a director, film producer, and fun fact, her debut feature film, Redor, was chosen as Malaysia's contender in the 89th Academy Awards and 74th Golden Globe Awards. And finally, we have Mr. Megat Sharizal, a film producer from Playground Productions, an actor, and if you recall, our amazing host for the Beyond the Screen workshop. Glad to have you over again, Mr. Megat. So it's lovely to have all our four speakers here with us today. And with that being said, before we start, I'd like to thank all of you that sent your log lines over. They were very interesting, okay? So without wasting any more time, I'll hand this over to the speaker to begin the masterclass.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you, MMOF, for organizing this event. And I'm really glad to be in the company of these three amazing speakers. And we'll try to keep this session rather casual. So for the speakers, feel free to jump in whenever you have something to add. So as Daniel has said, we will be breaking down the session into three different parts: the pre, the production, and the post. So we will begin by selecting the log lines for the relevant segment. We have narrowed it down to these 6 log lines. So for pre-production, we will begin with this log line: a best-selling novel writer contemplates committing suicide, but discovers that it isn't easy as it seems. So if it's possible, the person that submitted this log line, would you mind sharing us more and elaborating? If you are
Hello,
here.
everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi. Yes. So basically, it's sort of the idea is sort of like a dark comedy film. It sort of starts with is basically using comedy as like a coping mechanism. So basically, he's sort of perspired from all his work and everything. So he just comes back and he just sits down and he goes through his phone to see the best ways to commit suicide. But as he does this, he goes into sort of his imagination and thinks about all the ways he could. So, for example, he looks at hanging, and then he sort of imagines him hanging, and then he realizes, oh, that's not really a good idea. It's a bit too much. Then he goes through all the different ways to commit suicide. Then he sort of decides all of them are just too difficult to do. There's so much work that goes into that. And then at the end, he sort of steps out of it because his mother or his friend sort of comes in and says, hey, do you want something to eat? And he's sort of, oh yeah, I'm back to reality. So it's sort of a nice ending, but in the middle of it, it's quite I sort of make fun of the ridiculousness of contemplating about suicide, but making it as easy as possible. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Marco, for sharing. Can we begin with Tunku Mona? What are your thoughts on the logline? Sorry, I can't hear you, Tunku.
Yeah, okay. Is this a one situation story? So who am I speaking to? This gentleman, that's this idea. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
My name is Marco.
Marco. Okay, is this a one situation film, or is it several situation to begin with? I need to know a little bit more so that I can imagine a bit more, or I try to.
Oh, this is like one situation. This is all like everything that it's been leading up to this moment. So yeah, this is just one situation.
Okay, so let's talk about idea first. Yeah, it's basically he wants to commit suicide. You want to make it into a dark comedy a little bit, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's a serious matter. It's just like that movie, the one that won the Oscar, where all the billboards was placed by the roadside, Mississippi billboards. I can't remember the title. Anyone remember the title?
Three billboards.
Yeah.
Missouri. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Misery. Yeah. So yeah. It is the same. It is the same thing. It's a very serious matter, but they turn it into a very a bit more lighthearted to a certain extent. But it's it's a very serious thing.
Exactly.
For you to do this, you first and foremost you must have that line to know that you're not mocking it, because committing suicide is a very serious matter, and this happens to people who has gone to the rock bottom of depression, of things that they cannot handle anymore. So when you have something like this, the end bit of it, yes, there's one thing to commit suicide, and then suddenly he just snapped out of it because someone says that, hey, let's go and eat. You got to be careful,
because it's not really, of course,
So, okay, so that to me is like, well, it's nice to have a bit of a tongue in cheek, but you got to balance it so well, because otherwise you're gonna get a really negative backlash on this.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Now, when he commits suicide, what is he planning to do? The character of yours.
So basically, it's more of the imagination that he's thinking, because since he's a writer, so it's more of like he's not really doing anything. He's just looking through his phone, looking at all the ways. Because the reason why I came up with this is because I've had several attempts of suicide. And so comedy for me was a fantastic outlet to sort of not mask the pain, but a way to cope. And I love stand-up comedy and all that. So for me, I think terms of the character, he sort of just imagines what the things he would do. It's not like he's like making fun of, oh, maybe I shouldn't do. It's like he's actually contemplating seriously about doing it. And then when he's thinking about it, he's sort of, oh, this is actually, I don't think I want to do this. He goes through all the scenarios. He goes through all the hanging, like the self-harm, the poisoning, you know,
right.
all the poison. So he goes through all that and he's like, actually, this is not really. So at the end, he sort of doesn't want to do. And then his friend or mom sort of comes in and like say, hey, do you want something to eat, or what's going on? You seem out of sorts. And so that's where the film sort of blurs out. And so they have a conversation, but so like you said, it's very important not to be draw the line where it is, but yes, I hear you. So that's where it is.
Okay, but this character has to be able to carry a dual character in him, whereby he can be very how do I say, funny in a way, it's sort of comical, but not slapstick, but you know, in a light-hearted, because to get that is
like Afterlife.
Yeah, that's right.
Like Ricky Gervais, something like that.
Yes, that's right. That's true. Okay, all right. Okay, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Okay, I'm gonna hand over to someone else to take over from where I left off, or to say something, Edward, or.
I can follow up with that. I think
thank you.
I really like the story, because I think sometimes taking it lightly, it's a way to tell the story. When you read it to me, I kind of imagine like kind of Edgar Wright. So sometimes their characters are really serious about their problems, but sometimes it's this filmmaking technique, their pacing, the camera works that actually some blockings. It's just, it goes by technique that makes us laugh. You know, I think there could be a way that makes it fun, but the characters are still serious. However, I would have a questions about like, if this character is contemplating suicide, it must have a really, really strong motives for it, because then maybe if a reason for it, because we all know, you, like you said, you've been through that kind of like phase, and you would like, there must be, it would have, maybe there is not of course there's a deep dive to the conversation about like depression, but then like what would be the reason? I think from a film, it's better to always let audience know what is the reason that this character contemplating about suicide. If it's not, it's a bit hard for audience to sympathize to the character, and when they don't sympathize, it's a little bit hard to let our audience follow up with our character. So that's one thing that I would question. And I do like the solution. It's something simple that actually sparks the kind of like recover for a character. It reminds me of a film. I think it's a Lebanese film that was in Oscar foreign film. It's basically about like two different race people fighting over a very minor issue. It went to court. It builds, and they fight until very, very, very big. You know, like they went to court and going to sue each other to their grave. But at the ending, they just walk out. And then one of them is a mechanic, and he's just like, "Can you fix my car?" And that's the ending. Sometimes it's like such a simple solution and solve such a big conflict, you know. So I kind of like that. But as long as, like, you know, like earlier I kind of mentioned that what reason you establish for the characters to go into contemplating. As long as the solution relates to that reason. Oh, I remember the film is called The Insult. The Lebanese film, sorry. The Insult. It's just the ending that I really, really like, because it's a very simple solution into like a big problem. And then sorry, where was I? Okay, so as long as the ending, the kind of solution relates to the established that your the reason you give your character to contemplate suicide, like I think it's very good, because like sometimes I understand, like sometimes mental illness or like depression, your family is very important. Sometimes a small little gesture helps a lot. And then I think something like that really, it's strong, even if it's small. It's a simple, hey, have you had dinner? You know, then that character will be like, actually someone cares about me. And then it goes a long way, just like that, you know. how you're gonna establish that, how your character, how your actors act upon that, you know, like things like that. So yeah, I think and I like it that it's one scenario, because like nowadays COVID, you can just shoot in one place with like your with our own friends and mother, and then it will be great. I like it. I look forward for it.
Thank you very much.
I'm done. Yeah.
Would you like to add anything, Megat? Sorry, we can't hear you.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Not really. It's just more of I'm just taking this as like a sort of it's just my sort of, you know, sense is sort of like my little process of how I dealt with it is more of how I dealt with it, but also in a new sort of sense. But yeah, that's
I think Tunku, Mona, and Edward really covered the ground in relation to film very well. But it's also important to consider the mental health aspects of portraying suicide. And this is a big issue, I'm sure you know as well. And you can reference some of these guidelines by WHO. They have guidelines for suicide portrayals in films. And to try to work within these confines, for example, like showing the suicide method explicitly is usually not recommended. But again, you wouldn't want to stifle your creativity as well. So trying to understand these guidelines and working with them, but still taking your own creative twist would be ideal, I think. Anything you would like to add, Megat? Oh yeah, go on, the good one.
Megat or Tunku Mona first?
You were halfway saying something, so you can say.
Okay. Sorry, this is funny. Okay, Farihin, tell me, Mona or Megat?
Mona.
Okay. Like what Edward said just now. Okay, because the film that he mentioned, is it a Lebanese film, Edward?
Yeah, it's called The Insult. I just Googled, it's 2017. It's called The Insult.
Okay. So you know the ending is so simple like that, simply because there is a build up to that in relation to about him being a mechanic and ask him to repair the car, right? So obviously in your story here, Marco, you got to do the same thing or similar to it, meaning to say for someone, okay, like knocking the door and say, hey, let's go, or you know, go for food or whatever. There must be some sort of the end story. There must be a little bit somewhere in the middle of the film, or so that it becomes a bit more complete, rather than it becomes a typical art film whereby the ending has no connection whatsoever, you know.
Of course.
Because you know, I'm sure you have thought of that, but it's just that sometimes when we see, you know,
it's just a draft.
All right, okay. Now you know what I mean, right? Because sometimes you have seen films where the ending makes no complete sense at all to the entire film, and you and the audience left hanging is like, what the hell, you know? That's all I have to say.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Megat?
Okay. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Okay. So I think story-wise, everyone else have commented on your story, but I'm just going back to the basics to your log line, where how you're gonna catch people's attention here. I think the first sentence is good, but discovers that it isn't easy as it seems. Probably if again, to catch people's attention, probably you can add a bit of irony there. Probably something like, example, this is just example, a best-selling novel writer contemplates committing suicide, but discover someone else trying to commit suicide at the same place. Something like that. Just to add something.
Oh, that's cool.
to your log line. So people can, because right now when you wrote discovers that it isn't easy as it seems, it's just it seems general. So probably there's a bit of irony there. I think this goes to the other log lines as well. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Megat. Okay. The next one we're looking at would be this one. When pandemic strikes, Maria, a college student, had to endure alone separated from family when something sinister happens. So if the person that submitted this logline could elaborate further, that would be great. Do we have that person in the audience? Okay, if we don't, we'll move on to the next one, which we all found very intriguing. It just says turning real life into movies. So if the person that submitted that one could elaborate on that, that would be great. Hello, Akil. So you submitted the turning real life into movies? Sorry, we can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh, it wasn't me, It's not mine.
I guess we'll just discuss when pandemic strikes, Maria, a college student, had to endure alone separated from family when something sinister happens. Maybe just comment on the log line. Would Megat like to begin?
I mean, it's almost the same as my comment to Marco before. Like when you're writing a log line, I mean, here to catch people's attention or whoever you're pitching your idea to, probably one thing that you will try to not do is try to avoid character names. So for instance, for this one, you mentioned the character first. A college student had to endure time alone, separated from family during the pandemic strikes, when something since there happened something, and towards the end, again, like I said, I try to push this a lot. You probably have to have a sense of irony at the end of so that it will give anyone reading what sense of context that you want to build your story from. Yeah.
Thank you. So I think we can also elaborate on the pandemic storyline. If other people are going to pursue that same type of script, what are some considerations they would have? Maybe Edward, would you like to add something?
Sorry, you mean production-wise, right? Like during pandemic, how is the show? In Malaysia, let's say, of course, there will be the finance rules that we need to follow, and sometimes even if it's like not under finance rules, it is always safer to, like, for crews and cast, it's just a responsibility most of the time as a producer to our crews and cast. To speak of it more practically, like how we shoot it is like, we generally will ask for our crews to go and do a test, like before. It could be a PCR or RTK. And then on the spot, on that day itself, 3 days before, and then during that day, on the day before, they will do another saliva home test kit as well. And then everybody have to be masked up on sets, and and be as safe as we can, because like especially now, say I'm shooting a movie, and if like anyone happened to have like a case, then the entire production has to stop and go and test and all that, and actually it will cost a lot of money, and maybe like 1 or 2 days of it will be lost. So in Malaysia, there is no insurance that would cover things like that, and sad to say. It really depends on luck as well. And because nowadays, during endemic time, some people get it and they just don't know where they get it from. And a lot of people are asymptomatic now. All I can say is like, sometimes we have to be really anal about it. I remind people until people hate me, you know, sometimes, but it is what it is, unfortunately. Yeah.
Would you like to add to that, Tunku?
About shooting, well, I told you yesterday or a few days ago, you know, I've been away from set for 2 years. That's crazy, I know. But I just don't know how to handle shooting during this trying time. So I hope by next year will be much better for me. Anyway, yeah. So I think it's best to, of course, you know, the one that you already know, the SOP, blah, 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 blah. Yes. But at the end of the day, it's how do you control your set? You know, how do you roll out your procedures and things like that? It goes down to the principle of the main person, which is the producer or the EP who is on set, okay, or whoever the head of the whole entire production. It could be the director himself, who is a EP director, yeah. So if that person, the head, the leader himself or herself is strict enough, and you know would really make a big deal about this whole SOP, then I guess it will be much better. You feel much safer in the working environment. So because there are people who, you know, who says that they will do it, but they don't do it, and it's happening here in Malaysia. So yeah, for me, I mean, if you have a budget, it's good to have someone on the medical side on set or close to you, you know, and to have things like that, like a condone area, so that people outside, when you're shooting, people like to come in and people like to stand around close to the set and things like that, yeah. Especially if you have a very famous actor and things like that. Megat, you know what it's like, right? People will start waiting, oh, can we take picture with you? So, you know, regardless whether it's pandemic or not, people tend to do it, yeah. So if you have a team that is in sync and they would do what you request to do, then you feel slightly safer. Meaning to say, like the barricade or a condone area, you know that you're not supposed to let outsiders to come in. So at least you can control it a little bit better. I mean, you know, I guess when you're on set, you try your best to make sure your crew and your cast and your production team not to wander so much after you call rep for the day. But hey, what guarantee have you got that, you know, they will not pick it up from some mama shop that they hang around after the shoot, right? And especially like now, you can go out and you can go out and sit down and have a cup of tea or something like that with your colleagues. So, well, I don't know. I mean, it's a situation whereby, yes, it's easy to say, but I can tell you now, it can be quite difficult to actually, well, not 100% difficult, but it is kind of difficult, you know, to roll out this regulation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys for elaborating on that. The next logline we're looking at is a young dancer has trouble with her performance and dance crew's expectations because of her anxiety and her toxic partner. So if the person that submitted this logline could elaborate further, that would be great.
Farihin, the person who submitted about this Maria, a college student story, this person is not in here?
Yeah.
Not in the group. Oh, right. I'm kind of curious to know what does it mean by something sinister happened? So what is that, you know? I'm intrigued. Yeah.
I'm intrigued as well.
Yeah. So when you intrigue the audience, I mean, it should be really, you know, it could be very interesting to have a discussion on. Okay, I will move on.
So if the person that submitted the young dancer logline is not here as well. You can just elaborate on it. What are your initial thoughts on this? Maybe we can begin from Megat.
I think again, like I said before, maybe because currently the log line says that the young dancer has trouble with the performance, but I think maybe she or he should put the anxiety first. A young dancer has anxiety and has trouble because we have every time we write a log line, probably we have to remember the stakes has to be very high for the character. The character and then the stakes needs to be high, and then at the end there's a bit of the bit where I said about the irony. So what happened to the young dancer with anxiety, and then what kind of irony that the character is facing. I think. Yeah.
That's my log line. I'm sorry. My mic was muted. Sorry. I just wanted to let you finish first. Essentially, I took inspiration. The story comes from like the people surrounding me, and I look at it as a how do I say this? As an environment is the reason for why people are, how they, get anxiety or how they have trouble coping with anything. I always look at it that way. So I took inspiration from a bunch of people like around me, and essentially, I wanted to try to make a story in which the reason why that, like for example, the toxic partner, the reason why the partner is toxic is not because it's inherently him, more so because of his environment, and that's what made him the way that he is. And same goes for the young dancer, because of like the dancers, like dance crew's expectations, and that causes the anxiety. And because of a toxic partner, she can't perform well because she's having trouble fighting with, like, struggling with both the relationship and then dance expectation, and there's a bunch of more at stake, I guess. But that's basically part of the. I just wanted to keep the log line as short as possible, and that basically, if I could like relate it to a film, it's basically like Black Swan, but Black Swan is more supernatural. This one is more grounded, based on reality compared to Black Swan. So I guess that's it for now.
What's the dance? What kind of dance is this?
If you've seen K-pop videos, like the where they choreograph everything, it's like that lah. It's I wouldn't say it's like freestyle. I mean, there is choreography, but then it's like more or less like, if you've seen K-pop performances, it's essentially like that.
Right.
And you have to be all in sync, or not everything is like messed up.
Right. Okay. So the toxic guy is hang on a minute. You're saying that just now the toxic guy, he's not toxic actually, but he is the environment. Is that what you said? Did I miss that or not? Is that what I got it right or not?
I would say the environment and his upbringing, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because if the upbringing is strong, then somehow the level of toxic, so to speak, is not so high, and he could tolerate. So it's got to be a strong influence in him, which is upbringing. I think that would be more stronger, because maybe come from a family that is very judgmental, that kind of stuff.
It kind of reminds me of another film, Whiplash.
Oh, Whiplash.
Yeah, Whiplash. It's because, like, how stressed he is because of like how he's leading his band and all that, and he has the kind of like anxiety. He needs to be the best of the best, and yeah, the kind of toxic partner, you know. But you speaking of Black Swan, one of the main theme I think Black Swan has is actually duality, and I would really like to see this explore more of it, like because from the logline it seems like most of it, like this character has his problem comes from external, which is like his dance crew expectation, other characters, the toxic partners, things like that. But I personally, if I would like to see, I would like to see something like Black Swan. It is these characters, these external things actually reflect to her internal problems. So it's actually what her real anxiety is about. And it is not so much about reflecting, it's about like exaggerating his internal problem, his what he would. And because like I mentioned, duality and understanding anxiety sometimes, for me sometimes, like, you know, you have all these unnecessary concern. So whether like if the partner is really toxic or not, sometimes it's the anxiety person who perceive as that person is being toxic, all these people are being disappointed at you, you know. And then that would be something fun that I see like in filmmaking technique to balance that, to almost let the audience guess whether it is the anxiety that is controlling him or it really happens to him. Also remind me of another film called Shutter Island, you know. Yeah, so
I love Shutter Island.
Yeah, I know, right? So it kind of leave you guessing, like, you know, like what is it like real? Is it just the anxiety talking, or is he really in a toxic environment, or is it? Yeah, so I think it's something fun. I would love to watch. Yeah.
But if you're talking about someone, let's say like someone who's depressed and you know has anxiety, and you know, like Edward said just now, that even small thing this person exaggerate. But if someone is diagnosed for the, okay, first and foremost, if you're gonna stretch it to a little bit more, if it's based on real findings, people who goes through this, the smallest thing is the biggest thing for them, right? But if you are creating a bit, okay, if you take, let's say, like you say, you're taking a bit of a creative license and you're exaggerating this whole thing a little bit, again, okay, the problem with me is this, okay, because when I did my film Riza, I got to make sure my facts are right to the T, because I am talking about them, the autism family. So if the filmmakers for this are talking about people who are actually going through and based on facts and based on true findings, then you got to make sure that you are on the right track. But if you're not claiming that, then that's okay, I guess. You can push the envelope further, you know. Because people who go through this anxiety, they do tend to see things small but big, that kind of thing, you know. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to respond to that, Akin?
I'm just absorbing at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good point to consider, I guess, that Tunku Mona brought up. Are you interested in conveying it exactly as an anxious person would be, or would you want to have like more creative license and exaggerate some parts of it? What would you like to accomplish with the film?
For me, I would argue that I have anxiety as well, because I inherit toxic. Interesting. No, I myself as somewhat have a bit of anxiety. I for one do not come from like a filmmaking background, and I'm like delving into something that's like very, 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 very new. So for me to like delve into something very new is pretty scary for me as well. And I don't know what the future holds, but yeah. And as a way, it's more like an expression piece. If you understand that, because I would also like to convey through dance, she's able to express herself. Like there'll be, I was thinking in my head, there'll be moments where she'll be alone, and through dance, she's able to express herself. Like she's able to be free, and like for me, like just trying to get into like film, watching movies and stuff. That's where I feel like just a safe space for me. It's like that. So yeah, that's.
But so you can convey your emotion through this girl, what you've gone through or what you felt before and things like that, and to make people understand that sometimes when someone goes through that highs or lows, they tend to be, others sees them being, they exaggerate things, but to them it's not. So that is a main thing that you would like to portray, and I think you should portray, because that you are not only you're also showing the reality of life. It's like one sees black, the other one sees navy blue, things like that. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. But so yeah. Do I have anything else to say? I don't have anything else to say.
I just saw from the chat, make it avant-garde.
Oh.
Yeah, true.
From V,
true.
Make it avant-garde. Yeah. I don't know what it means, but yeah, sounds good.
Stylish. Avant-garde, very stylish, or very, very art. That's also avant-garde. So in terms of your narration. In terms of your narration, you don't need to be so linear, that kind of thing.
You don't have to be a filmmaker to make avant-garde. You can just shoot, express.
Just like David Lynch.
But I think
it's very interesting to approach a serious matter like this in that way. Whoever who wrote that, I think that's nice.
What do you? Oh, you mean the
avant-garde bit? Yeah.
Just now, I think Edward brought up two films involving delusions, Shutter Island and Black Swan, and you also mentioned that there are filmmaking techniques to create that sense of you're not sure whether, as an audience, you're not sure whether it's the protagonist or the rest of them that are which perspective is real. And so would you mind elaborating more on those filmmaking techniques in case there are other people that want to do something involving mental illnesses that involve delusions or hallucinations?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm asking Edward.
Edward.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you're asking. I thought it was a statement. Sorry. Let me think. For Shutter Island, I think I forgot. I watched quite long ago. I can't think in details. But I think what Stephanie just mentioned, like filming technique, color scheme, it's something that I think it's fun to play with. Sometimes like it can be as obvious as what the characters, how they are acting, but I'm not too understand about how psychology would perceive, but if like someone like you who understand better, and since you're not a filmmaker, I think it's even better because like you are more clear organic. And more pure, organic in your thinking, So should we go with DC? Oh, DC mode. Oh, it means not Marvel mode. Yeah, maybe. So like I think then it can be like quite pure, like what you think, just be childlike in your thinking. Just don't think too much. You just like, since you understand psychology, then just shoot how you perceive. And since you mentioned like you're someone who went through anxiety, how you felt at that moment, really just dig it out. And then how you felt not in those moments and really just feel it. If it's really avant-garde, you shoot what you feel. It's not what you would think, like how normal films would be. So I think if anyone wants to see the difference, I think, and someone like you, I think just do it as honest as you can, and I think it will be fun to watch.
True.
Wait, hold on. Can I answer Stephanie if it's all right?
Yeah,
sure.
Oh, okay. Filming techniques. I would, if I were given the reins of the director, I hope so. I pray. Um, I would primarily just take very long takes of dancing, just probably one take as much as possible, like multiple takes. And as a color scheme, this one's fun. I've been thinking whether I should like make it like somewhat gray and gloomy at the start, but then as she progresses on and she tries to, you know, fight back with her anxiety and whatnot, and try to, you know, be free. Or during the dancing scenes, it will be like more what's the word? Where the colors are popping, but not so much popping. The contrast. There's a contrast, yes. So yeah, it's like that.
Contrast is very high in dark colors. Is that what you meant?
Sorry? No. No, it's not contrast. I forgot what it was. Saturation?
Saturation?
Maybe saturation. Yes, that's the one. But yeah. not too obvious lah. It will be not so obvious. It'll be a very subtle. Like that's the way I would. That's the ideal way to do it.
Anything you'd like to add, Megat?
Yeah. Well, I think like I just answered in the chat. What you want to? I think the choice of colors, the choice of is whatever the director wants to invoke from the audience. You know, if you want that sense of darkness and gloominess, probably that one you can go with more darker colors. And if it's more that kind of happy mood, then of course it's brighter colors and everything. So it's actually, it depends how you tell the story and what you want to the audience to feel. Up to the director. It can be, sometimes it can be the same story but different director telling it. It can incite different kind of responses.
Cool. Thank you for the input.
Okay, so I think we'll move on to the next logline, which is a son keeps answering her mother's phone call asking him to come back home. But once the son comes back home, everything changes. It's the person that submitted this here.
This one I'm really curious.
Yes, it's very intriguing. Please come forward.
Please be here.
Well, probably he's back home.
If not, let's begin commenting on this. We'll begin with Edward.
I don't know what, because like because that's why I'm really curious, because I thought like it in the logline it ends in a very open. It ends very open, so I'm really curious about what it is. And on a phone call asking him to come back, but once the son comes back home, everything change. It sparked intrigues, but I don't know. I don't know too much about it. I think Tunku might have something to say about it.
Well, you say it's hanging, so you know there are a lot of questions when something is hanging.
It felt like a mystery, like a psychology mystery, like something, you know.
But it also says a son keep answering. Okay, the word keep answering, that also is making me wondering whether, you know, something wrong with the mother. Yeah, because the son keeps answering. So it's like okay, is the mother keep on calling? So is there something wrong with the mother? Because at this point in time, we think it's the son. It's actually not. It could be mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. So let's make our own story out of this since the person is not here. So let's have fun.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of like the son, like like the mother could be like a imagination mother, like he never had a mother, and then he
Edward, we lost you.
The ID coming. No, our creator is such a great story just now. Hello. Is that okay?
Edward,
no, I was saying.
Edward, you sounded like a Terminator just now.
Really? My God.
Yeah.
Maybe
you gotta start all over again.
Okay.
You just start again.
So how is it good now? Okay. So how I imagine like the son kind of like I imagine the son like is grieving for the mother. And then like when he goes like he always had this illusion that that he is having calls with the mother, but when he goes home and he revealed to the world, to the audience that actually the mother is never around. So then I thought was like it actually reminded me of video games. One of the Silent Hills, about like it's called I think Silent Hill Homecoming or something like that. It's about going home and then like finding out like trying to search for a brother, but then like and then it finds out like actually the brother has passed away long ago, and it's just like a grief that this character is carrying, and then that's the plot twist. I just imagined that way. I don't know. When I read it, I was like, okay, interesting.
I see it as something going on with the mom, you know. It's as though the mom is going through something that makes him go back thinking that he could solve a problem, but it seems he can't, or something like that, you know. And the son has this what's the word? You know, very impatient, very anger management kind of thing, you know. So it's like both. Mom has something and the son has something, because it's hereditary too. Sometimes, yeah, certain things are hereditary. So it's good to show that, you know, and everything in change is something that they somehow find a way to bridge their differences, or maybe it's like imagine mom is bipolar and son is you know, depression, not bipolar but just pure depression, and mom is bipolar, you know, something like that. But and how do you have two people having these two different issues or diagnosed and live together eventually, you know? So things like that.
Yeah, that's
so
actually
that's
very
how
interesting. More interesting than the actual storyline. But yeah, management or entanglement in psychology is quite prominent. So exploring that through this logline, I think, would be very interesting as well. But Edward's idea is also interesting. And I think a lot of people in the chat got that same idea that Edward had, that it's something where it's already too late, that it may be something about grief. So anything you'd like to add to that, Megat? Sorry, we can't hear you. Riza can't hear you.
Hi.
Okay.
Okay, so when you mentioned about grief, that's what the first thing that came in my mind, because what I imagine here is like this son is keeps answering the phone, talking to the mother, and like keep avoiding whatever issue that he had with the mother, and then he keeps answering while on a journey back home. And then when he gets home, we as the audience discovers that actually the mother has passed away, something like that. So I mean, like whatever we see from the start of the son answering the phone is actually him dealing with whatever past issues that he has with the mother, or probably whatever lah. That one, it's up to the story lah. But that's what I keep imagining in my head when we were talking about all this. Although people things that came up, some horror and everything, but yeah, but that's the kind of story that came into my mind like just now.
Awesome. Hopefully from this trajectory, everyone can get more story ideas just from this. The next logline we're going to discuss would be: a mentally broken man wakes up in a different universe where he was loved. So, person that submitted this logline, hopefully you're here.
Hi guys, hi everyone.
Yay! Hi.
Hi, my name is Jovan. Hi, hello. So my name is Jovan. I'm in my first year for film studies, so I am a film student. So for this script, it's about a man, a mentally broken man. So he's going through a lot in his life, and his daughter has passed away during a very young age, and then he had a issue with the wife, and then he's going through divorce and all that. So at the point of the movie, at the first act, he taps into a different universe where in that universe, he was loved. But the thing is, in that universe, he is actually dead. He just passed away in that particular universe. So he found a lot of love in that universe, whereby his daughter is alive and his family is there for him, and he has a good relationship with the wife over there. So it sums up to whether if he can stay there or he can't stay there. So that kind of story with a lot of small details and twists as well.
I like the story. I really like the story.
So it's basically focused.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. I just got disconnected.
Okay, I can repeat myself. Sorry. So it's about a mentally broken man.
Sorry, I'm sorry, everyone.
So it's about a mentally broken man, which is in his late 20s, where he is on the path of getting a divorce with the wife, and his daughter has actually passed away in maybe a year old, and then when he accidentally taps into a different universe, whereby in that universe...
Sorry, Jovan. I just got back. I disconnected again. I'm connected to my data now. It's okay. Sorry, I think my Korea, right? You would know.
All right.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, let's go again. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so the story is about a mentally broken man, whereby he's going to divorce his wife, and then his daughter has also passed away. So he is very broken mentally, and then he's going through a lot of struggles in his life. And he had an accident, kind of like an accident when he is having a heart attack. So he wakes up in a different universe, whereby his wife and him is in a very good relationship, and his daughter is alive. But the only thing is, in that universe, he had already passed away recently. So the thing is, he wanted to stay in that universe because it's so perfect for him. But the longer he stays there, the people around him get sick, and the longer he stays there, he gets sick as well. So it comes to the end whether if he wants to stay there to die or to come back to his original universe. That means to learn from it. So the story is, it focuses more on the emotional side, on the drama side, rather than the science fiction things. So it's a parallel universe movie, but it focuses on the drama side, on the emotional side. So there's a lot of small details in the movie whereby there's like hints, such as from his original universe, you can see that from the production technical side, those things that on the left side will become on the right side in the different universe. So it's left and right. So it explains that why he can't stay in that universe, because when he goes there, things is totally different. And then his body condition is different as well, such as like his white blood cells is more, whereby his red blood cell is less. That's why he can't live that long over there. So I guess that's it, I guess. Yeah.
I got one suggestion.
Yeah.
Or, idea. I don't know what you call it. Okay, I like the whole story. What if this guy had to leave because him being in the other universe where he is being loved, the longer he is there, he will affect those who are living there to die. If he comes back to his real world, those people, including the one that he loved, will continue to live in harmony and happy and all that. So that means, because right now you said that everyone is dying there, right? In what you said just now, that when he's there, he's dying, and the people around him in that loved world are also dying. Am I right?
It's like if he interact with people around there, which is his family, his friends, his wife, and his children, the longer he interact with them, like he get close to them, they start to feel weak, and they're nose bleeding, those kind of things. So he has to make the decision in order to save them and to save himself. He can't be selfish. He has to go back. So, but during the first and the second act of the movie, he wants to stay there. Until when it comes to the third act, he realized that life is more important, and he have to leave them to go back to his the place where he is broken, to fix his things in his original place.
Or rather, your ending should say that his love for the daughter and the people who are there who are healthy, his love for them is bigger than his own happiness, because he's there and he's being loved. In his other world, in his original world, he's not being loved, right? There's a lot of resentment, there's a lot of conflict, so on and so forth. But the moment he goes to this side of the world, he is being loved. Even the wife whom he divorced, he became the wife that he dreams of, right? That means the ideal wife, because he divorced in the real world, right? And then when he goes to this world, the wife is there. Do you see that, or you don't see that?
In the real world, he's about to divorce with the wife. The opening scene is them having a very huge argument. And he's a very toxic person, whereby he is very verbally toxic towards his wife. So he kind of blamed his wife for the death of his daughter as well. So they are about to go through the divorce. So it's kind of like, if I want to reference, it's going to be kind of like the marriage story, like a famous scene where the two characters is fighting for the divorce, that kind of thing. That is the beginning of the opening scenes. And then it leads to him going for a meeting whereby he had kind of like a heart attack moment. And that's how he taps into the other world. So when yes.
Go on, sorry. Go on.
So when he reached the other universe, he goes home. He sees the thing is kind of weird. Left and right is not there. And then he can't find his own like identity, like his credit cards and all that. They become like blank papers. So he has no identity there. So, and then the wives come back, but the wife is dressing all black because the wife just came back from his funeral. He is dead in that universe. So it's kind of like a drama, whether they want to believe that, they kind of like think that he's a ghost there or something like that. And then they can't believe all these things that is happening. And then they cherish the moment together. Like towards the second act of the movie, that's the part where they cherish the moment together. But the longer when they cherish it, they felt that those people like getting close with him become weak.
Okay, but in the loving world, the wife is there too, right?
The wife is there, yes.
Yeah, and the wife is very loving to him, unlike the way she behaved in the real world, right?
Yes, the wife is very loving to him, and the wife is going through a grief moment because the real him had just died. So imagine the wife coming back from the husband's funeral and then coming home seeing the husband is there.
Okay.
Is it
Okay.
complicated?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm explaining complicated.
To me, it is. I mean, the whole idea of yours, I like it because a man who is being there's a lot of resentment, and he goes into another world, he died and goes to another world. Whatever he didn't get in this world, he gets in this world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So imagine here in this world, his relationship with the wife is really, really horrible. There's a lot of tension. And then suddenly when in this world, the wife that he has been wanting so much, he gets it. And the wife sees him as a husband that is not the same character in the real world. Yeah. That means in the real world, he's very aggressive. He's very, nasty, so on and so forth. But here, he becomes a different person, right? He himself finds it, he himself falling in love with his own character, with his own values, because he starts seeing that I have this good value. I'm attracting my wife back. It's beautiful. My daughter is happy with us. It becomes a perfect family, right? The only thing that after a while, he realizes the closer you get, the closer he gets to them, the more danger he puts them, that he puts them into. So at the end of the day, it's his decision. It's like whether do I just be here and enjoy every bit being loved, or do I go back to my real world so that the one that I truly love will continue living in a unaffected manner. That means healthy, so on and so forth. So that's really interesting. But it's just that to me, the grief moment that he sees should be like in between, like it's as though there is like I'm not saying that you have to have a tunnel, but it's like in between real world and the afterworld. That in between, as he's moving towards there, he could see image of the wife grieving, even though he was nasty before. And then suddenly he wakes up, and then the wife is no longer grieving, but she becomes the kind of woman that he wanted, the kind of woman that he, a good relationship, basically. So that bit, that transition bit is how you have to think of a nice way to show that, sometimes you see a glimpse of something that just hit your heart, right? That's what you need to find. That's a technique or style or transition that you need to find. From the time that he's dying or about to die, is that as though the soul is coming out. That bit that he sees something. I really like this story. I really do. It's very nice.
Thank you, Tunku Mona. Megat, would you like to provide some suggestions as well?
Hello. Okay, can you hear me? It's time.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, there's a lot of comments on the story, because right now there's lots of stories about alternate universe that reminds me of your story. I mean, like there's Sliding Doors. There's a series by called Counterpart a few years back, starring J.K. Simmons or J. Jonah Jameson's actor, where this guy who's very timid, very that he didn't achieve anything in his life, and then he discovers a portal to an parallel universe where he, on the other side, is a super spy. So just this concept is quite interesting. But I just want to go back to the basics, where back to your log line, where probably again, to catch people's attention, probably you can consider this. First, you have to again mention the character. I would suggest the character would be a depressed father. A depressed father discovers a portal to a parallel universe where his daughter is still alive. something like that, something along those lines. Because that this kind of logline you can raise the stake, and you can also portray who the character is. Like I said, a father. So when people read the character is a father, so immediately they connect to the character. And then again, when you go to the parallel universe where he is loved, and again to raise the irony and the stakes is where his dead daughter is still alive. So yeah, probably you can think about that just to, again, I mean, this one is good, but when you add the stakes, the character, I think you can catch people's attention more. Thank you.
Thank you. Edward, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I really like the story. It reminds of a few of one of my few most favorite film of all time. One of them, it's called Another Earth. It's also it's grieving as well. So there's this character, you can just Google it, Another Earth. This character who has a regret, but then knowing that there is another world that she can go to and it will be perfect. But it's just the fact that she's knowing the world, and we almost never see that she goes to the world, and even just that it's good enough. Another film that it reminds me of, okay, this will bring to a point where I think I would prefer this, given that if you have the time to actually go through this character development, is that I like to see him a little bit more selfish, you know, like he because I believe, like, in the stage where it'll be fun to see like a whole circle, like, because he starts as grief, and then when he goes into when he starts to accept like this new reality, and then when he notices like this new reality, it's not a good reality, and then it will be fun to see him being selfish, and he denies that. He wants to be like, it's fine, you know, other people, whatever happens, it's fine, because I'm happy, and that's all I care. And then give that a bit of amount of time, it will be fun to see this character layer. I personally think so. Yeah. And then it reminds me of a film. This is not like the best film, but I actually really like it's Click by Adam Sandler. Yeah. So the only difference is, like, he starts from a very good place, but he was just not happy. He was just not content. So when he went through this whole different timeline and this different universe with this remote control, and then he finds that actually, you know, like, it reverts back, like, oh, actually, you know what? I had a great life, you know. So then that's the very much of a character change, and he is very selfish, you know. So it's fun to see a likable selfish character, because sometimes we are humans, we all relate to selfishness, we all want to be happy. Yeah. So even if it's sometimes at the expense of like our family, our loved ones, and we still see that character being like a certain amount of selfish, until at which point that pushes him over and he realizes he's being too overly selfish, and that will be fun to see, that kind of breaking point. Another film that it reminds me of, it's called Midnight in Paris. Like, he goes to another world, a world that he wants, even though it's not grieving or not, it's a happy thing. But he goes to a world where he's happy. He's a writer. He's a film writer. But he went to this Paris, and then he meet all his idol, and then he get to live among his idol. And then most importantly, it's actually a love story. He's not happy with his relationship, but he goes there. He met another girl, but it's not his world. He has to come back, and then he discovered this whole arc about this man as well. So I think it's very interesting to have a look through. Yeah.
You see, your film, okay, you can have the emotion, it can be so layered, you know, because the selfish bit is to show the human side. It's just like as good as it gets, right? Where you can see Jack Nicholson, who is an extremist, and yet someone turns him around and make him the way he wants. The person that he could not be, but he managed to, because someone made him do that. So it's very true. It's very nice, you know. I mean, to have that selfish character, but at the end, he has to make that decision: do I stay and harm them, or do I go back into my lonely world? Mm-hmm. And that shows that sometimes you got to give in for what is right. Mm-hmm. But yeah, coming back to, I said layers, when you say that, you know, in your film, you can have the sad, the happy, the crazy, because you can show when they are together in the other world, there's something different about them. And the things that they have never done before in the real world, they do it together. And that becomes a lead to his selfishness, because he loves it so much. So it's a very interesting film. I hope you make it.
Okay, unfortunately, we're running out of time, but luckily we covered all the log lines. So now we have to move on to the Q&A section. So thank you so much for the great input. I'm sure all the people that submitted could benefit from the comments that the speakers have made. So now I'll pass the mic to Daniel to move on to the Q&A session.
All right. Thank you to all the speakers. It was such an insightful session. And thank you to the participants as well who shared your log lines and all. All right. So we have the first question from, it's from Instagram actually. So the question goes, how do we take care of our well-being when filming something about mental health? So like, I recall there was a film on suicide one of the participants was doing. So I think I would direct this question to Farihin as a director of a mental health aid association. What are your thoughts on it?
As an actress or as the
both I think as an actress, mainly as an actress. Like how would you act
as the actor? How would you protect yourself from the mental burden of that? I haven't had much experience in acting, but from what I know, with regards to mental health, definitely read up on it and guard yourself in terms of separation. Make sure that you separate your work from your home, which is easier said than done, of course. But you can also incorporate certain techniques like meditation or mindfulness. So I think perhaps Megat, as a very experienced actor, could also elaborate on how he separates that.
Well, I mean, in Malaysia, that's a bit tough to keep your to keep sane while shooting, because I mean, again, but referring to the topic, I think it's as if approaching it as an actor, I think there's that line, that really thin line, where there's different kind of methods to approach said character. But again, being an actor, I think it's to immerse yourself in these kinds of roles. I mean, it's really tough. Trying to portray it, trying to be accurate, not making it a caricature rather than just, I mean, staying to the character. That's I think it's tough. But again, I don't know. This is I think you just have to have a support system around you to keep yourself sane. And again, I think people around you to help you you have directors, producers, your friends, fellow actors, to just keep yourself in check about how to approach certain things. I think that's it.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Mr. Megat and Farihin. So do you have any questions from the audience? If anyone has any questions, please feel free to open your mic and open your camera. We have Akil here. Do you have any questions?
I think that's a very interesting question by Stephanie earlier.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, there's one here. All right. So Stephanie asked, like, most likely in the post-production or in the production, when filming a scene, is there like a specific number of how can I phrase this? Like, must we shoot the scene multiple times? Or like, if we get it the first time that we think it's good enough, we can continue? Or do you guys suggest that at least do it for a couple of times before finally producing it? Any thoughts on that?
Budget. I think Kak Mona can answer this.
Yeah, Kak Mona.
Okay, sorry. So the question was, is it okay just to do one take, or is it better to do multiple takes? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it can Can I add on to it, because that was my question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. So because the sharing got me thinking, like, how many times do we need to shoot per scene? Because I feel like at first we have like a certain expectations on what kind of vibe or feeling that we want for a particular scene. But in actual filming, there's a lot of variables. And that's when we realize that, oh, actually there's a new vibe or a new feeling that we kind of feel that it's more interesting to convey that message. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, do we shoot until we we kind of find that scene, or we just set like a certain number of times to do the shooting?
Okay. First and foremost, before you go into your production, by right, you should have script reading. Okay. During the script reading, that's when you have your actors reading their characters, and script reading, you know what it is, yeah? Okay. From there already, you can tell what kind of feeling you're gonna get. When you do script reading, of course, you got to get into the character. The actors and actresses have to get into the character, not just reading as though you're doing like a newscaster. So from there, you can gauge already what kind of feeling that you're going to get. I'm saying this, I'm assuming you're the director. Yeah. Sorry, who am I speaking to?
I'm Stephanie.
Yep. Stephanie. Okay. So, I'm assuming you're the director. So you should have that feeling already. When you go on the set, of course, you have all the props and everything, and they're already in their, you're doing the blocking and everything. If you do not feel what you should be feeling as a director, you keep on doing it until you get it. That's it. That's the bottom line. You don't care whether that actor or actress is an A-list or whatever. You just do it until you get it. Because I have done this before, okay, and that was my very first long format super tele movie that I did, and they are those people who are on the set, the actors and actresses. They have far more vast experience than I do in long format, because my background was commercial back then, and I don't care. I don't care what you think of me, until and unless I get what I want, and I will keep on asking you to do it. And if you can't get it, I give them a break. Take a break, okay? Let them have a cup of coffee or have a smoke, whatever. Chill for a bit, and then come back and do it again. Now, if you as a director, you can't direct them and tell them exactly what you're looking for, then you have to self-check yourself. Because then you do not know what you're asking them to do. And then you do not know what you're expecting them to do. Let alone you don't even know what emotion that you're looking out for. So these are the things, these are the check and balance that you have to have. Yeah. At the end of the day, you must remember that everybody that is on set has to be in sync. In every single true word of the word, being in sync, because otherwise you will not get what you want, and they will not get what they want. Okay, some actors and actresses are so brilliant, they give you more than what you expected. And when they do, and you got it, and that's it, you're done for the day for that particular scene. That's it. Thank you.
How about Edward? What are your thoughts on it?
I think as a director, it's a little bit more details on these things, but as a producer, I think I agree if I could, but in the end, like, oh wait, we have time. That's what you would think. I know, but I have had dealing with directors with like many takes, and in the end they use like the first take and all that. But yeah, in the end, it's about like you really have to really get it, and that's why I always prefer like script rehearsals. If I would ever do something, I always prefer to have something that is really so ready before going into set. Because if I ever like calculate the budget, I would rather pay the the actors or actress more and rent the space to let them run until they are so familiar of so in sync of like everyone what they want before going on set. Because if we are not in sync, if we are going on set and we are wasting everybody's time, and that is equals to money, and that is worse. So if I get to do it, we need to get in sync in pre-production. And it's not so much of like getting so many takes. It's about like how prepared we are going in. And sometimes we are so prepared going in, really just 1 or 2 takes done. But if we are not prepared, 40, 50 takes, we are not ready. And then like, I think the woman said, then it's about questioning the director. Like, hey, do you know how to communicate with the actors, you know, like maybe find a different way to communicate to the actors. Some really famous directors in Malaysia or everywhere else in the world, they still use an acting coach to assist them. And it's actually very useful. Some, you know, and to help communicate, to help with like on the side sessions and things like that. It's something to think about it as well. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Edward. So last question to all the speakers, considering each filmmaker usually have their own special way of acting or producing a film. So what are each of your tips and tricks towards our audience in making a film? So if we could make it into like a one line, that would be great, because we're kind of running out of time. So we'll start with Mr. Megat. What are your tips or like special tricks in making a film?
Tricks. I think for me is choose the right people, choose the right actors, choose the right team. Because at the end of the day, when again, a lot of filmmakers don't realize that filmmaking is a teamwork. So and you as a director is like the captain, and to make sure your ship sails smoothly to whatever destination that you want to go, you have to choose the right people to be with you so that you can ensure everyone's safety, everyone can stay safe, everyone can give their best, and you can create the best environment for everyone so that these people, the best people, can also be with you in your other journeys.
I see. So basically, it's not just all about talent, it's also about the chemistry between actors and all. I see. All right. How about you, Farihin? In one sentence.
As an absolute beginner, and I think most people that are entering the competition are the same, in my same position, I think would just be to persevere. Making films, especially on a low budget, when you can't really choose your team or your actors because you don't have the privilege of doing that. The important thing would be to just go with it and to, I think making my first film, I didn't realize how many things that could go wrong. And yeah, so just persevere.
Yeah, basically improvise, overcome, and adapt. All right, Tunku Mona, how about you?
Okay. If this is your first film and you are surrounded by friends who are passionate as you are, ask them to help out. Okay. Of course, chemistry is very important. Teamwork is important, like what Megat said, you know, because shooting a film, whether it's short film or long format, feature length, it's like a marriage. Okay, you have to be able to live in the same house together in harmony, or at least try to be harmony. Okay, so if there is a hard-headed person, let it be one person on set. That's me lah, you know. Okay, so like since many of you are not from film school, work together with film students, you know, then tap on them, because you are having the idea and they have the technical knowledge or know-how, because you know that's what they have learned. So work together with that, you know. But if you pursue your career as in a mainstream, whatever you have learned in your first film, then along the way you improve it, it gets better and better, you know. To me, the moment you find comfort, let's say like a DOP, for example, if you find comfort in a particular DOP, while it's great, but do try to use others, a different DOP. Because this is my learning. From before, when those days in the commercial world, I'm so absolutely comfortable with one particular one, where I don't have to communicate so much. It's as though we got this telepathic thing going on, and the moment he's busy, and when I want to do my film, I had to work with someone else. It's not a bad thing, but it's just that the chemistry is not. You just don't click on immediately. So so if you're doing this as a career, be a bit more flexible in that sense. Yeah, be a bit more flexible. I try to use different people.
Like, just don't stay in your comfort zone.
Yeah, don't stay in your comfort zone.
How about you, Edward?
Well, I'd like to dedicate my answer to Sandy in the group chat. In the chat, asking about what's the criteria of judging. There is no criteria in judging, but a competition, we have to list it out for the practicality of it. But truth is, go with your heart. Just shoot what the story that you want to tell. Just be honest to yourself. Just be truthful. No criteria is ever more worthwhile than that, because like, if the emotional touches your audience, it's all that matters.
True. All right. So again, thank you so much to all four speakers. With that, we're coming to the end of our session. But we hope all of you participants enjoyed yourself. And just a reminder for all of you, don't forget to submit your films. The deadline is before 31st December 2021. I'm sorry, I got confused. 2021. And if you guys win, the grand prize, it's not just 1,000, it's not even 5,000 ringgit, it's 10 grand if you win. All right. So don't waste that chance. All right. So before we end, we've also got more exciting events coming up. So I'll pass it over to Dash to share a bit on our event next week.
Hi, Daniel. Hello, everyone. My name is the MMOF organizing team. I'm here to promote our event titled Love, Compassion and Friendship, which will be held next Friday from 10 to 11:30 a.m. We have invited 3 speakers for this panel discussion. The first speaker would be Dr. Leila. She's a scholar and an expert in love. And we have Salahuddin, the host of Tea Buddies podcast and a third-year psychology student who's passionate about friendship. And last but not least, we have Che Puan Sarima, a TV host, actress, singer, and also a radio announcer. So they'll be discussing about various aspects of love and friendships. So feel free to come join us, as you don't want to be missing out some interesting topics that will be discussed. And you can scan the QR code, or the link of the registration form will be sent in the chat box. So yeah, see you guys next Friday. I will now be passing on to Daniel. Thank you so much.
All right. So be sure to join us next week. Who knows? You might find your next lover. Who knows? All right. Anyways, thank you once again, everyone. On a final note, we really appreciate if you could spare a minute just to give us your feedback on today's event. And with that, I wish all of you good night. And for anyone in the UK, Farihin, we wish you a blissful day ahead. Take care, everyone, and see you guys soon.